convincing did you take to take the gloves again in this test?
No convincing, because it was obviously the right thing to do for the team. Yes, we had some other options up our sleeve, but ultimately this is what we determined was the right option. So look, you do what's required of yourself for the betterment of your team, and that's certainly what I'm trying to do on this occasion, and stress it as a one-off situation, and said in the past that I'd certainly take up those challenges if need be for the team as well. So it's disappointing for BJ though, because I think he's been keeping brilliantly since he's had the gloves, and he's certainly developing as a wicket-keeper batsman as well. So frustrating for him, but we've got to get on with it.
Your back and knees are okay?
They're okay at the moment. It's been 5 days, but they'll be okay, and yeah, got a job to focus on. So just try and make sure I do that as well as what I possibly can over the coming 5 days.
Definitely not a long-term thing then.
Definitely not a long-term thing. No, it's unfortunately, as I've stated previously, my body can't hold up to the demands of keeping long-term in Test cricket. So whilst it's fanciful to think I can, it's very much a one-off situation.
And can I ask you about your pads and so on? Because I noticed when you first took over at Lords, you weren't wearing any.
BJ's a bit shorter than me, which isn't normal, so his pads didn't quite cover my knee, so I sort of thought there was no real point.
Is it a thing you do? I mean, then you welled up the next morning with wearing your pads. But
yeah, it was circumstantial. I just couldn't find any ones that fitted me, so it was, but I found some the next day.
Right, I just wondered if it was something you were going to do.
No, absolutely not. No, it was circumstantial.
You didn't have to go to the shop, you found some buried away at the bottom of your kit bag.
No, got one of my sponsors brought them in for me, so I was very lucky. Thanks.
So you weren't actually carrying any keeping pads?
No, I had gloves.
Yeah. So obviously it was something you hadn't intended to do at all, so you weren't carrying any pads.
No, look, I knew that if there was an injury to BJ mid-test that I'd have to take over, but I guess you don't anticipate those sorts of things happening, and it was what unfolded, and I prefer to focus on what's coming rather than what happened the other day.
What about the prospect of captaining a team that tests from behind the stumps? Have you given that much thought, and how challenging will that be?
No, I haven't given it a great deal of thought, to be honest. I think the other day was a bit of a taster of it as well, and yeah, I think it should be fine. Got some guys who certainly have a lot of faith and trust in around us as well, that I can bounce ideas off, and who I know will be thinking very much about the game situation as well. So there's certainly no concerns about that.
Obviously, you already talking about that leadership aspect. Does that come into consideration when thinking about that?
Yeah, look, Dan's out of tomorrow's game, unfortunately. We obviously gave it our best shot with Dan, but it's not. Yeah, he didn't scrub up that well today, and just the confidence to go into a 5-day game with the workload he's had was just a bridge too far, unfortunately. So it's obviously disappointing, but it does give Dougie an opportunity to be able to, I guess, make his way back again after being out sitting on the sidelines for a while. He's been outstanding in warm-up games on this tour as well, and whilst it slightly adjusts our balance, we're hoping that there's a bit of overhead conditions over the coming few days as well, and the 4-seam is actually a positive option for us too.
Can you talk us through that whole process? Was it Dan's decision?
No, it was a very rational decision from all of us, really. We sat around, Mike, Dan, myself, and spoke to Dan about how he was feeling, and he gave it his best shot, and then spoke to him again just before, and he was just not quite confident that he would be able to get through the entire 5 days, and didn't want to let the team down. So that was just how it was. It was a good open conversation, and everyone tried their best, but didn't quite scrub up, unfortunately.
Although he's not able to play, as having him around, has that brought anything? Just a few words, a bit of a jeer.
It's brought a lot more facial here, that's for sure. He's obviously an incredibly experienced player, and obviously one of our legends as well. So to be able to have him in and around the group it clearly helps rather than hinders. So it's good to have him back, and I know he's excited to be back within the group as well. And knowing that he's got a big, I guess, month and a bit coming up of playing for us as well. So, I guess that was one of the things we looked at as well from his playing opportunity in this game was would we sacrifice the coming few weeks as well, and wasn't the right thing for Dan either. It wasn't the right thing for us. So yeah, it's good to have him back. It's just obviously disappointing from his point of view. He isn't able to get out there in this game.
That general fitness thing within Brendon, did he put through a strenuous session yesterday and wanted to see how his body reacted, or was there something specific that was...
Well, no, I think it's more just the workload that he may have to obviously carry as well, that he couldn't be completely certain that his body, I guess some of his troubled areas that he's had in the recent past as well, would not flare up again, and how that would impact on the coming weeks too. So I think it was, in the end, it was went through a thorough process with it, gave it every opportunity, and it just didn't eventuate. So yes, we can't dwell on that. We've now look at how Doug fits in amongst the group and how we look to balance our 4 seamers during this game rather than the 3 seamer and 1 spinner option we have been operating with.
Do you get the feeling that Headingley is not a bad place to be left with that whole team attack?
Yeah, I don't really know. I think you sort of look at the stats and you see, that the seamers tend to go okay here, and from the games that I've played in here as well, seamers have certainly prospered. But I guess the wicket looked a touch dry as well underneath the initial grass covering. So it's a gamble either way, to be honest. But it's one that when you're 1-0 down, you've sort of got to take as well. So hopefully we get the cloud cover, and now our 4 seamers are able to prosper. How much does it put on them?
Yeah.
No, not a great deal different, I don't think, because you've still got 4 bowling options to go to. Obviously, how you balance those is going to be slightly different, but I still don't see Kane's workload being increased that much, and I think that's something that we've got to be aware of, and certainly not place too many demands on him when he's batting number 3 for us as well. So I think he's a viable bowling option for us, but we certainly don't want to be trying to bank 20 to 25 overs from him too, because that's not fair on him either.
Is it fair to say he's become a lot more viable in the last few months of the spin? He's sort of stepped up a bit from a part-timer like he used to sort of be?
Yeah, he has, and I think he's stepped up in a number of ways as well. I think his leadership's certainly stepping up too, and his standing within the team, and I think you see that roll into his presence on the field and his ability to take wickets for us as well as in key moments. So I think you're just seeing a guy who's growing in his place in the team, and he's growing his game nicely, and I think his bowling's just a symbol of that as well.
What have the conversations been like in the aftermath of 68 or that? Have you tried to just push it to one side and put it down to fantastic bowling, or have you had to try and drum into the batsman the need to deal with the moving ball and then find themselves a bit more?
Yeah, it's always a hard one to have those sorts of conversations, a delicate balance between, I guess, not sweeping under the carpet, acknowledging what went on, but also looking at where it sits in the overall progression of your team as well. And I think, as I said after the game the other day, I do feel as if we are making some significant gains as a batting group especially. And yes, the other day was a blemish for us, there's no doubting that. And then you've got to look at why it was a blemish, and was it their bowling, or was it our batting, or was it a combination of both? And that's the review process you go through, and then you work out, I guess, individually where you fit amongst all of that as well. And then you come up with a strategy to be able to try and hopefully counter that and improve your performance pretty quickly as well. So I think we've gone pretty good as a batting group. The other day was disappointing, but I think we are getting there as a batting group as well, and it's not going to be a continuous upward trend in our performances. There's going to be days where we have a few bad performances as well. We're just going to make sure that we don't throw out all the good work when we do have a bad day as well.
What was the
Varied.
verdict?
Everyone went about their review in different ways, I guess, and look at their own modes of dismissal and how England are going to look to attack him if the ball does swing here as well. So you can't have a blanket rule or a blanket plan put in place for people to deal with what they're going to be confronted with in this Test match. It's about making sure the guys are well aware of what they're going to be confronted with and that they're prepared accordingly. And sometimes they still won't get runs. We still won't get runs, but other times, you're able to put a plan in place and you counter it, and you do put in a performance which is worthy of that preparation too.
How much stronger
Is football being a theme in that? Sort of trying to counter what happened at Lords?
For some people, yeah. Again, a blanket rule is hard with batting to I guess impose on people. Some guys know that their footwork was probably lacking the other day, Some guys know that their hands were probably a bit far away from their body at times as well. But you got to look at was that the pressure situation, or was it a technical deficiency? I don't think it was a technical deficiency. I think it was a situation which meant that we lost our ability to access our skills rather than any lack of skills that we may have. So, look, you just got to, I guess, try and free the mind up as best you can without being carefree about it, and still give yourself the best opportunity of being able to perform in the coming days.
Just getting back to Dan quickly, and given his ongoing issues and he's been ruled out of the match, are you confident that he'll still be viable test level forward?
Yeah, something we need to probably discuss down the track is, it's always, we're just going to have to, it's going to be a rolling decision or rolling conversation that we need to have with Dan is what he needs to prioritise with where he's at in his career and how many overs he's got under his belt as well. It'd be nice to think that he'd be able to play every game in all three forms, but it's also not realistic as well, so we need to just continue to have those conversations as we go along, but certainly see a place for him in the team. It'd be silly for us to just sweep away 113 test matches and close to 400 wickets and 6 test centuries.
So he's still keen to play test cricket as far as I know?
Yeah, which is why I jumped on the plane as soon as we got the phone call as well. He's a great guy to have around. He's obviously a tremendous player and very keen to help out the New Zealand cricket team as well. So it's just disappointing he wasn't able to get across the line on this one.
How much stronger is your batting for this game, given you pretty much just get an extra batsman with you taking the gloves? It's a one-off, but it's just a straight another batsman on top of the order.
Yeah, I don't think it's any different to before. I think BJ's an accomplished batsman, and I'm just moving into his role at 7, and Martin Gupta will move into my role at 6. So I think it hasn't necessarily strengthened our batting lineup. I think it's probably just kept it the same. So it's just added a slightly different dynamic to it, probably. But yeah, but we've made the best with the situation we've got, and we're still confident that if we play well and we stick to the things that have been going well for us, we're still innovative in opportunities where we can be, that we can apply enough pressure on England, and it'd be nice in 5 days time to be able to reflect on a job well done.